It's Friday, the official last work day of the week. Today being Friday, the 18th day in the month of September 2020. And of course, it is the last edition of the program, The Platform for the Week, right here on Flow 94.9 FM. This is the flow of God's own state. Of course, we take a look at critical issues as it affects our dear nation, Nigeria, and also as it affects our dear state, Abia State. Welcome to the platform. Well, today, we're taking a trip to Edo State. My name is Michael Oni. Now, last night, President Muhammadu Buhari advised the political parties, the candidates, and the security agents to behave responsibly at tomorrow's Edo State governorship election, in which 2,210,534 voters that have picked up their permanent voters cards, that's the PDVC, would be deciding the fate of the gladiators. Now, 14 candidates, including the incumbent governor. We're not allowed to mention political parties now. It's less than 24 hours to the election, and of course that might sound like campaigning for a particular party, but in a move to curb the movement of illicit arms, hard drugs, and political thugs ahead of tomorrow's governorship election in Edo State, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mohammed Adamu, ordered the restriction of vehicular movement into the state. And the president, also President Muhammadu Buhari, in a message to voters, to political parties, election officials, and security personnel, said he was passionately committed to the conduct of a free and fair election, which will be the focus of our discussion this morning. We have election observers that we will be speaking to all the way from Edo State this morning to give us the situation on ground, and of course the preparedness of the electoral umpire, that's the Independent National Electoral Commission. However, the president said his commitment would not be enough if the players at the poll fail to abide by the rules. Some of the development occurring in Edo State we will be taking a look at also this morning, and also some flashpoints talking about some election observers saying that they've identified some areas where there might be violence in the election tomorrow in Edo State. So that's according to the statement by the senior special assistant to the president, quoted the president. Of course, the president is admonishing politicians to shun do-or-die affairs in the efforts to bring democracy to the next level. I'm going to quote Mr. President now. I want to see democratic standards in the country raised higher at every level, but these cannot be achieved when politicians resort to do-or-die methods to gain power by means of machinalization. The do-or-die mentality to politics is a threat to free and fair elections because the actors are more focused on winning than caring about a fair outcome that reflects the will of the people. The president, however, appealed to all political parties, their candidates, and of course the electorates to be peaceful and respect the law and order. Let's look at the numbers now. A total of 2,210,534 people have picked their permanent voters card, and of course they will decide the fate of 14 candidates, the fate of 14 candidates in that race. According to the election bulletin that I am reading right now by Inec, 1,159,325 of these voters are males, while 1,052,209 are females. However, 483,769 voters failed to collect their PVCs, that's the permanent voters cards. And of course the document also showed that the youths between the ages of 18 and 35 make up 50% of the voters. Means the youths will be deciding, of course, the largest percentage of the people that have collected their permanent voters cards, and they might be the deciding factor in that election tomorrow. Of course, the Electoral Commission, however, pledged neutrality and fairness in the conduct of the election, just as the police have promised to deploy 3 officers to man each of the 2,627 polling booths in the state. 3 officers to man each of the 2,627 polling booths in the state. I'm forced to do a calculation here because we have reports that police have deployed over 30,000 personnel for the election, and we have 3 officers that will be manning each of the 2,627 polling booths in the state. And of course, these are some of the things we will be looking at. Of course, some persons might be saying that police and of course deployment of security agencies during election, they've been accusing some parties of using it to subdue some other parties. Some of the things that we will be taking a look at this morning. But I'm forced to do the calculation. 2,627 multiplied by 3. 3, which will give about 7,881. Yeah, that's far below the about over 30,000 deployed, 30,000 personnel deployed for the election. Then we'll be asking how come. But those are some of the things we'll be looking at anyways this morning. Of course, like I told you, 3 officers to man each of the 2,627 polling booths. And then according to that document, Edo South Senatorial District has the highest number of registered voters with 1,281,414, followed by Edo North with 564,122, while the Edo Central Senatorial District has at least the list of 364,998 voters. Now, the document also revealed that among the 14 political parties that will be participating that are fielding candidates tomorrow in Edo State, 12 of the 14 governorship candidates are males, leaving out 2 females. Just 2 females are governorship candidates in the 14 among the 14 political parties that are fielding candidates tomorrow. I may not be able to run through the names right now, but in a move to curb the movement of illicit arms and hard drugs and political thugs ahead of tomorrow's governorship election, the IG, that's the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mohammed Adamu, yesterday ordered the restriction of vehicular movement in the state. Police statement said the restriction of vehicular movement would commence from 11:59 p.m. That's today to September 18, 6 p.m. on Saturday, that's September 19. And of course, that's according to the statement by the PRO, the first PRO and the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Frank Umba, who said the restriction order was in line with the concerted efforts at ensuring public order and safety during the election slated for tomorrow. Of course, we're looking at the Edo State election tomorrow. The players are ready, the gladiators are also ready after they are done with the campaigns. Of course, and Inec has also expressed readiness for the poll and assuring of fairness and free election, hopefully from the free and fair election also from the part of the security operatives. Although Police Service Commission yesterday warned that personnel of the Nigeria Police deployed in Edo and Ondo states must operate within the law. It is said any infractions on the law and the rules guiding election policing by any officer will be investigated and appropriate sanctions applied. That's a note of warning coming from the Police Service Commission ahead of the election that will take place in Edo State tomorrow. right, it is still the platform right here on Flow 94.9 FM, the flow of God's own state. And of course, we're looking at the Edo State election this morning. You know, I briefed you, of course, to give you the fundamentals concerning the election from the angle of the security operatives, from the angle of the electoral umpire, and also from the angle of the political parties that will be participating tomorrow. Well, doing the analysis with me this morning is Mr. Richard Okoro. He's a regular, of course. A known election observer also, and of course a member of the civil society groups monitoring election in the country, the transition monitoring group. Mr. Richard Okoro, good morning to you.
Good morning, listeners.
All right, welcome. Now, it's a big day. It's an election that will determine the next phase of democracy in Nigeria. You know, many persons have lost they've lost hope, they've lost trust in the electoral umpire, Inec. So hopefully Inec will be able to build that trust again tomorrow after the election, and that will be determined by the outcome, if it will be free or fair.
Well, like you said, it's going to be an acid test for Inec and Nigerians to see the level of improvement from what we saw from the last elections, and that will really put us in the right perspective to understand how 2023 will look like. It's a very big one for us.
All right, we're still looking at the election. Let's look at the deployment of security operatives now. Well, police came out and said, well, we've deployed over 30,000 personnel for the election. That's according to the Inspector General of Police, over 30,000. And if you look at Edo State has about 2,000 plus polling booths. And of course, the same police, the Nigeria Police Force, said, well, we will be deploying 3 officers per polling booth. And if you do the calculation, it's roughly about 7,000 plus. This is far below the over 30,000 deployed for the election. And this is coming at a time that Nigerians are crying that we've had a militarization of elections in the country. I don't know how you want to react to this, Mr. Richard.
Yes, this is not the first time we've been seeing truckloads of military or paramilitary and the police, different agencies, being stationed. And we saw what happened in Kogi election, and we saw the level of involvement of these paramilitary groups. And the key question is, what is actually their role? Is it to intimidate people? Is it to arrest those that are violating the electoral laws? And those that were arrested, what really happened to them? These are the questions, the key questions that people are looking at to see or to hear, the real outcomes of what they've done before. So putting up 30,000 police officers or more than 50,000 or whatever, we've been hearing the same story before.
Interesting. Okay, well, just a moment. Let's bring in Mr. Chris Aguirre, who will be joining us virtually now. Mr. Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Michael.
You're welcome. Good morning to you. And I'm sure your men are on ground presently monitoring situation, the distribution of the sensitive and non-sensitive materials, which will also lead to the monitoring of the election proper in Edo State. Can you bring us up to speed what you've observed so far?
Yeah, well, directly I'm not in the Edo State. I'm not able to make it. So I was fully accredited by Inec to observe the election. But my team are on ground in Edo State, and I'm expecting feedbacks as the time progresses. So far, in terms of distribution of sensitive materials, that started last night and ongoing, has been no hitches. I, like other Nigerians and the entire world, expect that election to run smoothly. And deployment of policemen, as you are enumerating,
okay, yes,
is not abnormal. This is a midstream election, the only one holding the whole country. So
when you say it is not abnormal, is it proper to have such number being sent for an election in a democratic setting?
I don't want to go that route.
Okay.
Because if you look at the situation report that for the past 1 month about this particular election. So what is expected? The police is expected to beef up security. You know, to that extent, yes, it can. They ought to deploy policemen all with a view to maintaining law and order. That they are being proactive. I don't see it as a way of militarizing the election.
All right.
But in view of what has been happening, in view of the signals coming from Edo, I mean, I don't hold that against them.
Okay, let's look at the preparedness of the electoral umpire now. INEC, in the past we've had issues with the smart card readers not reading well. We've had issues with people's PVC not working properly, just to affirm that the person is the authentic owner of the PVCs. And also we've had the issues with the distribution of the sensitive materials we've had issues of those sensitive materials not getting to the polling booths at the right time. The voting is meant to start at between 8 and 10 in the morning at the various polling units. From what you're getting, from the feelers you're getting, do you think, and of course from what you've noticed so far, do you think INEC is ready for the election in Edo State?
Well, one particular thing about this election is that if INEC don't know, if INEC is not conscious of it, I put it across to INEC directly and to the entire world that the INEC's integrity is on trial in this particular election. We expect INEC to do the needful so that they will not be held accountable if anything go wrong to some extent within the review of their own activities and operations. It will be in the best interest of the INEC leadership and the INEC staff to ensure that things are properly done in this particular election. They have no reason to fear because, well, out of the 36 states, this is not a general election, it's a midstream election. So everything that they ought to do and to do it well ought to be in place so that they will not be found wanting because the world is watching. We also know, my experience as election observer over the years, that deployment of materials for election is one of the strategies of rigging election. It's one of the strategies for rigging election. But this is a Edo state. Edo is so small compared to the logistic support at the disposal of INEC. So nobody should come out with any excuse that will lead to late deployment of materials and so on and so forth. And then from the experience of last general election, INEC ought to have improved. INEC is expected to have improved from some of the lapses observed, which we documented and submitted to them. So we are watching what is going to happen in this election. Thank you.
Interesting. Well, let's look at the violence and, of course, the banters, the reactions, allegations, the counter allegations that actually came in that were top of the news during the campaign periods, and if it even led to gladiators both in the state and outside the state lending their voice on some of the issues. Do you think that actually contributed to heating up the polity?
Of course, it did. And then, well, there has been a peace meeting and the peace document that they have signed. The Oba of Benin, who is an influential monarch in Doland, have also issued a statement. The two candidates are his sons. They are all sons of Benin, and we expect everybody to see their sword and allow the election to go. At any given election, somebody must win. And if the election runs smoothly, free and fair, I'll tell you the truth. I saw it in Anambra. Another aspect is this, where politicians, their way, they want to intimidate, they want to harass and all that. But when the chips are down, which is tomorrow, one major thing that I expect is the states to stay clear. What I mean, the states, the federal government. Once the president, the state in quotes, gives instruction to allow this election to run its full cycle, everybody respects himself. The security agencies, because you can't really rig elections without is sufficient and connivance of security agents. If there's a presidential order to allow the election to run, whosoever, policeman, military man, any uniform man, security man,
there is an order. There is an order to that already. Anyways, the president already.
So we expect the election to run smoothly, because if you're a policeman, anything you do, you know you're on your own. No, you're on your own. I saw it in Anambra. When the president allowed this election to be allowed to run, everybody respected themselves, and the election ran smoothly. I mean, that was close to 3 years ago. We are now second election. And that is it.
All right, Mr. Chris Aguirre, we will get across to you, of course, as you get your team reports all the way from Edo State, so that you can also bring us up to speed on what is happening in Edo State. Thank you very much for speaking to us this morning on the platform.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Chris, there. I still have Mr. Richard Okoro very much in the studio. Of course, he's in charge of the TMG in Abia State, and also an election observer. Now, let's talk about the peace accord. One will be asking, we've seen several peace accords in the past in several elections. Even one was signed in Abia State during the last gubernatorial election. I remember the president of Vision Africa International championing that. Now, one will be asking, hope it's not going to be another paper tiger. We've seen the campaigns in Edo State, some ending in violence, destruction of properties. Hope it won't be another paper tiger.
Well, the truth is that those peace accords are normally signed by the principal actors and not the people that really perpetuate these violences.
So,
for instance, the people that are the hem of affairs, I mean the contestants, the real people, they normally sit in their various houses after going to vote. So what happens at the field of play, they may not really be in control. Okay, for me, from experience, when you see the security men and then you see this ad hoc staff, and then the third group is these people that we call the hired thugs. These are the key actors. Okay, if the ad hoc staff of INEC does not play game or play ball, or the security agent does not do his work properly, and people come and snatch boxes in front of an armed policeman or an unarmed policeman, then what do you expect? Because the policemen most times are being outnumbered, in the various polling booths. If you put two policemen, for instance, in a polling booth of about 500 or 1,000 voters or 7, and a group of armed thugs comes in a number of 20 and overruns the police officers there. So what actually do you expect?
Well, as it stands now, INEC is saying that 3 officers will be deployed to
unarmed
polling booths.
Unarmed.
So they are not meant to carry arms.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And the people who comes to disrupt these these elections are armed most times.
We do have security operatives some meters away from some of the polling booths with well armed and waiting for issues like violence.
That's what I'm trying to explain.
Yes.
So whether they are in the meters away or they are right there and these things happen, they don't do anything, or they do arrest, and then there are no follow-up in litigation or of taking promotive actions against such things. So what then happens? We've seen we've seen Kogi,
yes,
the woman that was beaten up and probably killed and all that. So what has happened? That's the key question.
Much has not been heard.
Good. So that is why people now begin to withdraw from this thing called election. Because somebody dies and the razzmatazz takes on for about 2-3 months, and that's the end of the story. Nothing happens. So until people begin to take responsibility of their actions, and then the government is also saying this is our electoral law, no matter whose house is God, if you are corporate, you are corporate, you face the law, then that is when we'll be talking about credible elections in Nigeria. Because when people are being stampeded and then rough handled, you saw what happened to Dino Malay and all that, and then what has happened? So these are the issues. Until we get these things right, what stops the president and the INEC to enforce online voting? So that it may not necessarily need to go to the polling station to have all these stress and all that. You can vote in from, as far as the just like we do the ATM card stuff.
Yes.
So wherever you are, you vote, and then the stress of snatching this, extorting this, rewriting of result materials will be a thing of the past. That is the way we should be looking at. We're in the age of technology. All that we want, all that we need are merely available. Then we'll begin to minimize this unnecessary risk.
Interesting. You can be part of the conversation this morning on the platform right here on Flow 94.9 FM by calling the studio phone lines 0808 182 6949 or 0811 605 2949. You can also drop messages on 0906 510 8289. We have Noble on the SMS line. Noble says, to me, the president's appeal and commitment to free and fair election is as good as nothing since he refuses to sign the electoral bill into law. That's coming from Noble. Mr. Richard, I'm going to take you on the on what is expected of the electors now, those that will be going out to cast their vote in those states tomorrow. What is expected of them? And sometimes, we hear clauses like after voting, stay and protect your vote. How will they stay and protect their votes? I will be taking you on that later on this morning. Hello, good morning to you. Welcome to the platform.
Hello, good morning, Michael.
Yes, you're welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Richard in the studio.
Good morning.
I remember Mr. Prince Will Oswago calling here from Momona Chogo.
All right, Mr. Prince Will.
Mike.
Yes.
Tomorrow's election is a litmus test to INEC and the security agencies. Most importantly, the Nigerian army and the Nigerian police. Not to talk of the civil defense. Men looking at what happened in Rivers State, what happened in Kogi, what happened in Bayelsa. You know that APC, I'm sorry to mention parties here.
No, APC, it's not allowed actually.
All right.
Mentioning parties is not allowed.
One of the ruling parties telling us that they want this election by all means. And that is not how election ought to be. So my advice is this: let the other opposition party, let them follow the method of River State. Believe you me, despite what the security people did in River State, the ruling party then made sure that they couldn't go out without result. So let the Edo people and Ondo, let them protect their votes to the core. Let them follow it to the roots. The INEC, please, democracy is the world issue. Make sure that we are actually, neutral as we claim to be independent.
All
That's
right.
my thing. May God bless in the studio.
All right, thank you, Mr. Princewell. Well, we've had several litmus tests. One test too many, but Mr. Princewell said litmus test, and you will be asking if I pray it ends well. But if the observers are saying, well, this is not a good election, at the end of the day, we're still going to have another litmus test. How long are we going to keep postponing when we will have a free and fair election in the country?
Like the gentleman that sent in an SMS said, the 3/4 of the problem will be solved once this president does the needful. Until the needful thing is done, then we'll keep moving in circles. Now, vote and wait behind and protect your the same police, the same army will chase you away. If you are voted, go home. So how do you reconcile that?
I'm going to take you on that. I know you're very well enlightened when it comes to the rights of the electorate, especially close to the polling booth. What is expected? What are the rights of the electorate? How long are they meant to stay, and how can they protect their votes after casting? I will take you on that. Just a moment. Please move away from your radio set, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Good morning.
Michael,
I can still
morning.
hear the feedback.
Are you okay now?
Yes, it's better.
All right. Good morning, Michael.
Yes, you're welcome.
And good morning, our guest.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Radio Senator calling from Government College.
All right, Radio Senator.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the Edo State election is going to prove to us what INEC is all about and what the security men also is up to. But the truth still remains that President Buhari, I continue praising him, even though that he's a leader that is less affair concerned of what activities going on around him. He has shown maturity. He has shown that he's a president. All the elections that have taken place, he has never conceded to anyone. I mean, telling you that he's going to win, unlike what we have in 1999, where the president will tell you this state is ours, and he will just pick it, and the security men will help them to achieve it. So I think the people of Edo will only protect and object their hand. President has already said it, and the security men will keep to the laws guiding them. And the electoral officials also to do their work diligently without being influenced by any politician in Edo State. I think we would like to hear good results.
All right.
And people will be happy about it. Thank you.
All right, Radio Senator. Thank you for your contribution. Hello, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Michael.
You're welcome.
It's Alvan. I'm calling you from Ben.
All right, Alvan. Hello, Alvan.
Yeah,
Hello.
good morning.
Yes.
Good morning.
Yeah, just like the first person that sent in SMS, this present administration has taken us far backwards. What we do now is mere manual election, copy and paste. It's quite unfortunate that he was brought in a very transparent election, courtesy of former President Goodluck Jonathan, but he failed to improve the electoral system. So it's not a question of INEC. It's not a question of security. It's about the electoral law. He refused to sign into law. What effort has he made to improve the electoral system? Zero. So as telling us that they have never interfered. What happened at Kogi? What happened at Oshun? Inconclusive election. They just want it by all means. So we just pray that Edo people will try their best. We've seen
All right, Alvan. I think we got your opinion. Hello, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I greet you, our guest in the house.
All
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Mr. Jonathan. Calling you.
All right, Mr. Jonathan.
You see, by now, I think Edo State is charged up. But tomorrow is going to be the day. Well, I want to appeal to the people of Edo State not to see tomorrow's election. Election should be all about pledge to the sportsman feeling. You see your political opponent at your friend. It's not a question of where the winner takes it from. You see, there must be a winner and a loser in any election. So the atmosphere will not be so much tense that there will be some incidents of killings and the threat of killings in Edo State. So I want to also appeal to INEC, because the problem we have in elections in Nigeria is INEC, the security agents, and the politicians themselves. They are not helping matters. So INEC should be transparent. They should show that they are really independent. They will not be biased in tomorrow's election, so that the people's vote will count. The situation where people will come out and vote, and at the end of the day, the election is rigged. It's not what we want in Nigeria. It's a high time we change this situation for better. This is what we have been preaching. Let them go about in a peaceful atmosphere, so that at the end of the day, the real winner will emerge.
All right. Thank you very much for your contribution there, Mr. Richard.
Yes.
Now let's talk about what is expected of the electorate.
Exactly. Now I'll give you an example.
Yes.
During the last election, I chose to work in Isialangwa South. In the two elections, I was there. Now, people vote and they stay behind. Both parties.
Okay.
Nobody wants to go home. And like I said, some places you have two polling units in the same venue.
So they decided to stay back.
Yes.
Irrespective of their party.
Yes.
Okay.
And now,
is it proper?
Now that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
There people say stay and protect your vote. Now in the polling station where I worked in Obuba, there was only one policeman.
Only one policeman
Unarmed, managing 2 polling units.
Interesting.
And now the crowd, like I said, Party A, Party B, Party C agents are 2 already. Some are 3. Then the other ones who comes to vote will vote and now hang around. Then imagine when a polling booth has 700 voters. This one has 500 voters, and they all vote and want to stay behind. What do you think will happen? From there, skirmishes,
to overcrowding.
Yes, overcrowding, and then skirmishes begin to happen, and that is when the violence takes place. Then, if there is need for people to snatch boxes, and then that is when it happens. So, in the other way around, the security man at a point was overwhelmed, and the only person that seemed to was controlling or talking was me. Okay, so it is difficult to manage a situation like that. Because
so how do you then protect that vote? It's been said that you should protect your vote. Even after voting, you protect and ensure that your vote counts.
That community was a wonderful one. I told you it's in Isialango South.
Yes.
Both Party A and Party P were like, okay, let's see who will take this polling electoral material. So everybody was vigilant. Actually, nobody took it, but then we also saw the level of fracas that were, and if not that, maybe the 2 parties know themselves, or the 4 parties that had candidates know themselves. Who knows what would have happened? But then there were places where we got the action point that things really happened there. But the issue is, you're supposed to vote where the president, like the people that have called in and all that, said, if the president has been there for 4 years plus, elections has been held, and there are those, like you said, we'll be having this litmus test and we'll be seeing where there are gaps. The right thing is to improve on that is existing. So you can't keeping quiet and then you want things to change. We know how much billions that is being voted to INEC to conduct these elections, and each time election comes through, one excuse or the other happens. So how long do we keep moving round and round? And we are in an era where we're in a digital age where everything now works with a sort of
a technology.
Then when there are small areas of improvement, then we know that we've moved from milestone 1 to milestone 2, and then think of how to handle the other areas that are missing out. We know that networks are not everywhere in the Nigeria, like in the northern parts and some places, communities, there are no networks there. But the places where there is high concentration of the populace, and there are networks there and there are electricity there, what do? The solar panels are there and all that. So we have to be proactive to protect our democracy.
So Councillor Aikel Mezurike from Ekenobize on the SMS line says, election is never a do or die affair. It's like football match where one team must win. I urge those state brothers to maintain peace and order, avoid anything that will escalate and that will cause trouble. All right, thank you. Someone is on the line. Good morning to you.
Hello, gentlemen.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Matthew Meribe. I'm calling from Omai.
All right, you're welcome, Mr. Matthew.
Yeah. This is what I want to say about those elections. If you can redress our football setback and what has been happening in our society today called Nigeria.
Hello?
Imo State.
Okay.
Somebody who had a 4th position was given a seat as a governor. The election the results have been already been manipulated.
No, that's a speculation. We don't allow speculative statements here. Okay, thank you. Hello, good morning to you. Hello. Yes, you're welcome. Good morning to you.
My own personal person, Mike, you are blessed.
You're welcome, Chief.
Chief, I want to quoted.
All right.
We can call a spade.
Okay, you're welcome, Chief.
My God bless you. You know, I love your program. Very educative.
Thank you very much.
Directing our caller. Let me go to do direct. I concur, not a do or die affair. But I have to warn those who are saying we must win. omission of commission. We must win, directly or indirectly. We must win whether they like it. That is not a good talk of election. That is never acceptable in any democracy. We must use all powers. Whether Edo people like it or not, you must win. It's not acceptable. What you say is Edo people vote for anyone you like to vote. Edo electorate, any person that gives you good governance, vote for that person. Vote for that candidate that will give you good governance, transparency, accountability, and obey rule of law. Now I was asked to tell you, I am not happy with the way the former leader, the former chairman of APC, my party, is doing that.
All right. You're going partisan now, Chief. Okay.
Well, I want to say lastly,
you're going partisan.
That what we need is good governance.
All right.
And they should not make it.
Thank you very much, Chief. All right. I will reiterate it again. We don't want speculative statement here. It's a very, very sensitive period, especially for the people of Edo State. We don't want you to mention party. We don't want you to mention your association, your affiliation. It's very important. Let's talk about how we can ensure a free and fair and credible election in Edo State as we look at some of the happenings, the development in the state. Scores of soldiers and other security officials yesterday embarked on a massive show of force on the streets of Benin City ahead of the Saturday's governorship election in the state. The combined exercise was tagged Interagency Show of Force and is to alert Edo residents of the security agency's preparedness for the governorship election. And it was reported that no fewer than 70 patrol vehicles, including 2 armored personnel carriers loaded with fully armed personnel from various security agencies, paraded strategic streets and roads across the city. Well, the patrol caused traffic congestion along the busy Benin Sapele Road and other major roads along the government reservation area for several hours. Now, show of force, a day to election. This might be sending wrong signal.
Yes, definitely. Most people that are chicken-hearted will now stay in their houses and will not come out. But my concern when they do this is that they only concentrate where they in the townships or where I call it capital, that's kind of showing off. Now, where most times these things are done are the hinterlands. Do they go there? That's the issue, because Edo is a very large state. Okay, it has borders with Ondo, and all that, Kogi and all those places. Do they cover these places?
It's in local government.
So these are when you do this kind of show of parade at the capital city, then it ends there. For me, that is dancing to the gallery.
Let's get more reactions on the phone lines. Hello, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Michael. It's Alban. Can I conclude?
All right, Alban, conclude.
Yeah, just like I was saying, it's not about INEC. It's all about the process. I think the best way forward is for us to amend our electoral laws. We have to strengthen it. We have to add electronic. We have to add technology. And it pains me so much. The foundation led by the previous government, they introduced this electronic voters register. They introduced this smart card reader. We should have improved on it. If not that this present administration, they are benefiting from this manual election, they should have improved on it. Because by now we should have been talking about writing election in a place, election rigging, this and that. It pains me so much. So we must make sure that our electoral, the process is strengthened. Then judiciary should be, should equally sit up. Some of these technical judgments, they come. I don't think it's necessary again. So the will of the people must be protected. That's my take. Have a nice day, Michael.
All right, thank you very much, Alvan. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, Michael O'Neill.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Richard. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, you see, in a
you didn't tell us your name.
My name is Pastor Ifan Emmanuel.
All right, Pastor.
I'm calling from Bauti, Tiarangwa North.
Great, welcome. Whoa. Well, just as he was about making his contribution, Dr. Steve Onuibo on the SMS line says, what we see in Edo State now is political brickmanship, and victory will swing either way. determined by other factors than vote cast. Inefficiency of the electoral process is a major impediment. Dr. Steve Onigbo. Well, this is the first major election that will be conducted in Nigeria during the COVID-19 era, during an outbreak. Do you think that will also affect the outcome of the election, Mr. Richard?
Well, for me, I don't think it will. It's what will affect the election is this show of force, this show of intimidation, this show of we must take it by fire, by force attitude. That is what will affect the election, not the COVID-19.
All right. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you. My name is Jude. I'm calling from Inec'S.
All right, Jude.
My contribution is calling people in a do to know that this is not a do or die affair. Unlike Obasanjo told us in 2003 or 2007 that election is a do or die affair. It's not a do or die affair. Whoever wins to become the governor. It's very important that our elections are done transparently, and we have to encourage Inec. In this case, we'll talk about most times about INEC being the problem and this and that. Most of the problems come from our politicians. Like the man Mr. Richard said in the studio there, the observation he made at the Sierra South. I'm from the Sierra South. If you also what happens, most of these polling units you see that I think they are very peaceful. Most times, most of the agents have been settled by the party that is on top. They call them aside. If you ask them, you know that there were times they went about having discussions. They call them aside. Politicians will come around. When you see some of those big politicians, I know those areas you're talking about, the big politicians, they will come around, come out the agents of the other political parties. When ask them how much do you want, they go and share those ballot papers. Take this 20, take this 10. This is what happens in our elections. These are the problems. It's the politicians that induce the
voters.
They induce the staff of INEC.
Okay.
So what can we do to sustain through elections by stopping our politicians from
using
opportunities? That's my step, please.
All right, thank you very much, Jude. And that's how far we can go this morning. Mr. Richard Okoro, thank you very much for being part. Of course, the conversation continues right here on Flow 94.9 FM. Keep the dial locked right here. Definitely, there will be some other issues to talk about concerning the Edo State governorship election that will take place tomorrow, the 19th day in the month of September 2020. Many thanks to the producer of the program, Samson Eze. My name is Michael Oni.
At Flow 94.9 FM, we've got conducive and well-secured environment for business, high-tech video studio, a state-of-the-art production studio. You can also listen live on www.flow949fm.com and watch our videos on YouTube at Flow FM TV. Flow 94.9 FM, not just radio, but a complete broadcasting house.